Good afternoon and welcome to RPG Storytelling. Today's January 15th, 2021, and this is Grain Prompts Live. We've got a couple of really interesting and fun grain prompts that we're going to do a deep dive on today. But first, before we jump into those, got a couple of announcements real quick, which I do at the beginning of every show. Today, we're doing Grain Prompts live, coming up on Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on this channel at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're doing our next movie watch party. This is a great time to just come together to enjoy each other's company, enjoy a great movie, have some conversation back and forth. It's not really anything that's for any specific reason other than just getting together and having fun together. So I hope you'll join us for that. This week, unless Amazon changes anything on me, which they've done in the past, we'll be watching the 1980s movie Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito. So I hope you'll tune in for that. It's a great comedy, adventure type movie. Then on Wednesday, at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, hop on over to twitch.tv/HP2XP and join us for the continuing adventures of our characters as we go through the Adventures in Umbranthal, which is a homebrew Dungeons and Dragons campaign. We've got a great cast, great dungeon master, great crew, and we've got a lot of fun things that we're exploring and adventuring and coming up with, and the stories are just exploding left and right now. So I hope you'll join us for that this Wednesday and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And then next Friday, we're going to be doing another edition of Grain Prompts Live right here on this channel at 4 p.m. Pacific, just like we do every Friday. So that's it for the announcements for now. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into our grain prompts for the day. So, as you've probably witnessed throughout all of 2020, there's been a lot of instances where players and just anyone in general within our earthly realm have had chances for downtime, with tons of people unfortunately getting laid off from work, with COVID quarantines, with riots and protests and everything else that's been going on over the last year. Sometimes we as players just need to take a break. We need time to do some self-care, to provide for our own needs instead of having to worry about everything else going on in our lives, such as work or medical issues or things like that. We just need that. But did you ever stop to think, does my character need that? Sometimes there's great reasons why they might need some good downtime. And so that's the first grain prompt we're going to go through, talking about downtime and what your character can do during downtime. For those characters, similar to the players that play them, if your character is more of an outdoorsy type, what types of things does your character like to do outside of their home that brings them relaxation, gives them a chance to unwind? Things like going hiking or playing sports with friends, maybe going to the beach and just surfing or playing in the waves, or just getting a suntan on the beach. Maybe doing some kind of exercise type activities outside, like running or jogging or going for a walk. Maybe it is, maybe your character has more visceral needs, I guess I could say, without being too obvious. Maybe they've got the idea that for unwinding, they just want to go out and have fun, whether it's going to a theater production. I would have said movies, but most Dungeons and Dragons games don't have movie theaters. Science fiction based games, or like some horror based games that are based in the real world, like Call of Cthulhu. Some of those types of games might have movies, but mostly it's going to be opera or ballet or theater stage productions or radio type broadcasts or things like that. So if your character likes to go out and have fun, maybe it's casinos, it's theaters, it's let's see, how can I put this without being too crass? Pleasure houses. um, if you really want to know, if your character likes to visit prostitutes, that might be something that they do. There are many different things that your character can do outside in the world that doesn't involve adventuring or going to war or beating up and killing bad guys, solving intricate world-changing mysteries. There's a lot of things that can be done that your character can do just for fun. It's possible that maybe they like to go out to the archery range and just shoot arrows and crossbows, or guns if that's the case for your specific RPG. Getting out and having fun is a great way to relax and unwind. On the flip side, however, if your character is more indoorsy, there's a lot of things that can be done indoors as well that can also bring great relaxation for your character as well as for you, the player, such as maybe playing board games or doing some relaxing yoga or indoor exercises, going to the gym, maybe going to a bar or tavern or someplace and just getting drunk, or just carrying on conversations with friends. There's tons of things that can be done. So as you see from this prompt that I've got on screen here, maybe you got a wizard or a scientist that loves to read and research every chance they get. While research is probably part of their profession to begin with, some scientists, and I'm going to extend that into wizards and those of the magical sphere, actually get great enjoyment out of doing that research. I'll bring up my wife, for instance. She actually is a PhD scientist, and she absolutely loves her research. Yeah, she does do other things that are downtime activities, like watching TV or playing games or listening to music or whatever, but she also absolutely loves doing her research, and that's one of the things I love about her. So in games like science fiction type games, where you've got scientists and historians and other academic professionals or science-related professionals, doing that research might be their greatest joy as far as doing things to relax. It might be stressful at times, but it can also be quite relaxing for them. For wizards type characters or magic type characters, where spells and arcane lore are the job of the day, basically, those characters can also find great joy in just reading about those things, or just learning about other things, or researching things that bring them joy. I know with wizards, they're very study oriented, so they're always dedicating themselves to learning new spells. But that can also be a fun thing to do for them. Let's see, another thing you can look at is perhaps you have a barbarian or a heavy gunner soldier, taken from like Warhammer 40k. Maybe these really gruff, aggressive individual characters just like to unwind by playing a nice, quiet game of chess, possibly with each other. Maybe you've got a really aggressive barbarian that possibly doesn't really even know how to read, but they can have fun playing a game. They can be taught a simple game. I mean, sometimes those games can get a little intense and strategically complex, but they can still be fun. Let's see. Maybe you've got a rogue type character, one that's always adventuring, keeping to um, the shadows, doing things stealthily. Maybe and that's part of their job. But maybe for relaxation, they just want a nice, quiet evening at home in front of the fireplace with their spouse and children. Maybe they're a family oriented character, and they do these rogue type um, adventuring and other things to provide for their family. This is particular interest if your character comes from the lower side of the economic class. So, like they lived on the streets, they grew up on the streets, and when they got married and had kids, they wanted to do everything they could to provide for their family, so that their family didn't have to go through that same thing. Um, so it comes into play that you can look at how relaxation fits in and how it affects other people in your character's life as well. So that nice quiet evening at home in front of the fire with the family could be the 1 or 2 times a month that your character even gets to see their family. So this is a great chance for some family type role play between your character and their NPC families. Then on the on another side, you've got maybe a bard type character or some kind of rambunctious type character that's full of energy, possibly with like multiple symptoms of ADHD or various chemical dependencies that keep them going like 24/7, like a heavy addiction to coffee, perhaps, that always keep them really wired. Perhaps this character, for their version of unwinding and relaxing, they literally just shut themselves in their bedroom and just sleep for a solid week with nothing but solitude, nothing but quiet, just sleep, something to unwind, something to decompress from all the stresses that they have to deal with on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So those are things that you can look at for your characters to keep them energized. I know when you think of unwinding and relaxation, you think of letting all the energy go. But by doing that relaxing and unwinding, you actually gain more energy for what's coming ahead. I know that with these various games, the storyline just keeps progressing on and on and on and on and on, seemingly without end, from level 1 to level 20 or however many levels your game system has. So these moments of being able to unwind help your character to find a renewed purpose for what they're doing and why they're doing it. So one thing I always recommend is if your character feels like they're starting to need some downtime, talk to your dungeon master, game master, lore keeper, or whoever is running the game for you, and see if there's ways that you can incorporate moments of downtime for your character and for your adventuring party, such as festivals or holidays or other like periodic events like that come annually or weekly or however frequently. So you can actually have fun, and it's not all about combat, not all about investigating what's going on. You can actually have little moments of fun, little moments of levity within your game. Some games might not necessarily allow for it. I know with like Call of Cthulhu, moments of non-activity where you're not researching and hunting after what's going to drive you insane. Those moments, while might be temporarily fun for your character, could actually give the enemies more chances to do what they're going to do to advance the story even more. So yeah, it's a 50-50 thing where you get the relaxation and unwinding and re-energization. I'm not even sure if that's a word, but re-energization. But on the flip side, your enemies advancing their plot and their plans at the same time. So, all right, so that's all we've got for developing habits, some much needed downtime. Next, we're going to jump into something that's frequently kind of overlooked within role-playing games. And that's how your character dresses. Sure, there's plenty of instances in game and out of game where your character's looking at their armor and their armor class and what specific ability enhancements can come out of these different pieces of armor and equipment and jewelry and whatever else that they gain as far as clothing type items. But did you ever stop to think, what is my character actually wearing? Usually at the beginning of a game, at least the ones I've been a part of anyways, you get a chance, when your character's first introduced to everyone, you get a chance to kind of describe what they look like and what they're wearing. But that's really the last time you really ever hear about it, most of the time. But as you go through and look at your character, it's always a good idea to look at what they're wearing, what style it is, what colors they tend to gravitate towards. These are things that kind of help to define who your character is. So I'm going to look at a couple of different ways you can look at clothing as an expression of who your character is. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at, and it can go as far back as the beginning of your character backstory. Maybe you've got specific garments or anything or some specific garments or types of clothing that are inherent for a particular group. But other than that, it's completely up to you what your character is going to wear. So we're going to start out with feminine presenting / gendered, or feminine presenting / feminine gendered characters. This could be anyone on the feminine spectrum, whether it's biologically born female characters or feminine characters, or transgender presenting and gendered characters, or anything in between, or mishmash of various different things. There are so many different choices that these characters can wear. Anything from choosing dresses, skirts and blouses, pants, shorts, tank tops, skirts, pretty much anything that's available. These types of clothing can come based off of how your character is feeling on a particular day. Or maybe if they're out adventuring and they don't really have a change of clothes with them, they'll be wearing the same clothes a lot. But overall, your character still has choices as far as what they get to wear, what they want to wear. Sometimes these choices can become a little more limited or limiting, in that your character might be choosing to go for a specific aesthetic look, like they want to look the royal part, or they want to look like more the fashionista, or they want to give off a certain look as a presentation to those around them. Or perhaps their aesthetics are more limited because of who they are, or because of where they're from, that limit them. Or so possibly in a royal type family, it's usually more upscale dress and fashion. So more highbrow, more rich looking, more expensive, something to present that noble air that you don't necessarily get with dressing in rags if you're living on the street. Or perhaps you're living on the street and your only clothing choices are what you can pull out of the garbage or what you can pull out of the bargain bin at the local thrift store. These are choices that are more thrust upon your character versus what they want to actually dress as. So they won't necessarily get the chance to dress in the noble ball gowns and whatever. But there's always options. As your character progresses from level 1 to level 20 throughout your game, you can look at how much money is your character earning? Are they able to afford better clothes as they go through their adventure? So all of these different clothing choices are vastly unlimited, based off of what your character wants to look like, as far as their dress and fashion, what they have to look like, whether it be for noble origins or particular religious garb or soldierly outfits or various different aesthetics based off of character class or backstory elements. So there's a lot of things you can look at. So that we've talked about the feminine the feminine side of things, but what about the masculine side of things? Want to know a little secret? Doesn't matter. You can still have all the exact same choices. Your masculine presenting character can still wear dresses, can still wear skirts or pants or shorts or whatever they choose to wear. Because as I like to say, and I've heard this so many other places, so I can't claim this as mine, clothing has no gender. We as humans, as players, as people, put gender into clothing, but the clothing itself is just fabric. It has no gender. Yes, there are clothing that are stereotypically for one gender or the other, or whatever, but clothing itself has no gender. So allow your character to wear whatever they want, whenever they want, and have fun with it. So maybe you've got a butch barbarian character that's masculine presenting, but he loves to wear skirts or dresses. It just makes him feel better. For instance, within the Scottish culture, and this is going historically speaking even, kilts have been worn by Scottish men for centuries. From an outsider perspective, who's not familiar with what kilts are, these can look like skirts or short-ish dresses, but they're actually male garments. So don't be afraid to allow your male characters to wear feminine clothing, because the clothing has no gender. Your character is who they are, whether they're masculine presenting or they're feminine presenting, transgender, agender, non-binary, whatever. Allow your character to express themselves through the clothes that they wear and have fun with it. Allow it to become a way of expression for your character. But regardless of what gender or gendered presentation your character is looking to go for, just have fun with it. Depending on how your character presents themselves, clothing can sometimes bring about some very interesting and even heartfelt role play scenarios and conversations, especially if that clothing choice differs from what other players or characters presuppose about your character. So if your character is masculine and spends all of their efforts to a certain point putting forth that masculine air, if they decide to start dressing in more feminine, stereotypically feminine clothing, like dresses or skirts or whatever, it can bring about the questions of and conversations of gender and how gender is being played out in your character, and how your character is actually wanting to express their gender. Or it could be nothing about their gender at all. It could be just, this is how I feel today. On hot sunny days like it is here in LA, right now it's about 88 degrees here in LA today, which is odd since it's the middle of winter. Wearing shorts and tank tops is more choice of comfort, but with me being more, I love to be in dresses and things like that. Dresses aren't really an option right now because I'm not going anywhere anyways, but this is just more for comfort. So this is how I feel today, to stay cool. So look at your character and play around with how they feel, how comfortable they are in their own body, their own skin, and in the clothes that they wear, and have fun with it. But if you do run into conversations of gender and clothing and how they play against each other or even with each other, uh, take these moments delicately and try to take full advantage of them at your game table. Uh, and have those conversations about gender. It may not always be an easy discussion or an easy conversation, especially since some players may, and even characters, may be more prejudiced towards things like this, where characters or players go outside of the box that they were forced into. So I'm gonna leave it right there, and we're gonna transition out of the clothing and out of the grain prompts and go into my last announcement for today, which is just a reminder: on tomorrow night or on Wednesday night, jump over to HP2XP over here on Twitch. So that's twitch.tv/HP2XP, and join us for the continuing adventures in Umbranthal, where you'll get to meet my character Anara, who's the short one over there. Then you got her brother Rice. Then you got Verona, Aziris, or as we like to playfully say, Aziwis. It's just a little fun thing we do. Then you got Cloud, which is the Tabaxi, Maple, and then Fen. So come join us and have some fun with us. We're exploring the world of Umbranthal and seeing what trouble we can get into. And right now, we're already starting to get into some fun little trouble. So anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Grain Prompts Live with our RPG storytelling. And I hope you'll join us on Tuesday for our movie, and we'll go from there. So until then, I hope you have an amazing weekend and a wonderful rest of your day. And make sure to wear your mask, social distance as you need to, wash your hands, and do everything you can to stay healthy and keep those around you healthy. So until next time, love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.